Good news, everyone!
It's Jake Ciely.
And there's a surprise in your cereal box. I'm great! Everybody else sucks! Let's get dangerous!
Yes, sir, random kid I just met.
It's time to check the lid.
Oh, wait, you're serious? Let me laugh even harder.
You know what? You just made the list!
Hooray! People are paying attention to me.
It's all in football.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No, burn.
Merry Ducking Christmas, you ducks. It is All in Football on FTN Network. Was my video audio okay, or is the intro the problem, or everybody live as we're doing this? Is that StreamYard? I just want to make sure, because mine kept breaking up as we do this live to start the show.
You sound good, but I was breaking up as well a little bit.
Okay, I just want to make sure it's not just me. So we are here for all of us in our Santa hats, although mine doesn't have a team on theirs, like Meaney's and Lauren's, as we have a full house here. The Lions and the Canadians. And Meaney doesn't want to put it up because he ruined his team. We were trying to get him to put it up before the show started.
I was going to
listen to the podcast. You got to go check YouTube because you got to see this ugly Christmas sweater that
I'm gonna break it out now. I'm superstitious. I got it just a couple days ago. I wore it for the Eagles game the other day. Of course, they just
I'm a little
skunk up the
stitious.
joint.
I'm a little stitch.
Look at that old school logo.
It's beautiful.
It's not
The
ugly
color-
at all.
The
I
color
love
is striking. The vintage Eagles logo is mwah. It's lovely. I am wearing my mother's old Christmas sweater with the classic geese. Just two geese.
It's too
And like this frilly collar that I don't understand what's happening right now. And it's a thing. It's
You
beautiful.
look fantastic.
Thank you. It's got the billowy shoulders on it. Like it's fantastic. I'm like, yeah.
I'm
Jake's
actually
got
really
Star
upset.
Wars.
I do, yeah, the ugly Star Wars Christmas sweatshirt. I'm really upset that I found it while we're doing this live. It's too late now, but I was like, you know what? A Ducking Merry Christmas. I actually found a sweatshirt that says "Have a Ducking Merry Christmas" and a duck on it, a Santa hat. I'm like, how did I not get this before Christmas this year? I guess you'll have to wait a full year to see that one.
Next year, though, this is a must purchase.
Yes, it is a must purchase. So we are here to must get you through to your next round of the playoffs, whether it's your first or your second round. The Grinch mug. Did you show off the sweatshirt you're actually wearing, Meaney? Because
No, this is nice on the other side, and it's super hot. But oh man, if I spilt it, Fox, you'll have to clip it. And then naughty on the other side.
Oh,
The shirt is just straight up
Home Alone.
Kevin.
Oh, okay.
Is Macaulay Culkin the best kid actor of all time?
He might be. He might be.
I mean, no, seriously, like he was. What was he, 8, 9 in that movie?
He's
Pretty.
the most iconic.
Yeah, and the kid from
No,
Sixth
I
Sense.
mean
His name
legitimately
off the top of my
acting.
head.
Like you watch a lot of kids on these movies and TVs. It's like they suck.
It's bad.
Sorry,
it's
kids.
bad.
I'm coming for kids. I'm coming for kids in the show.
Merry Christmas. Jeez.
Be
Get
better.
your crap together, kids.
Be better.
Be better at your job.
kids.
Yes. Draft better actors. Anyway, we're actually we have a lot to get through. I was actually putting the show sheet together, and I was like, let's start with injuries because there's quite a few situations. Like, wow, we could just spend the entire show on injuries and what you need to do if you are playing in Week 16. And congratulations to everybody who made it. Congratulations to everybody who survived. I saw somebody very painful in the comments over The Athletic. This is your team, Chris Meaney, that they were behind. They needed a huge game from like DK Metcalf and Jalen Hurts, got it late, and that last big play from Jalen Hurts got him there, and he's like, yeah. And then the last interception by Jalen Hurts knocked them right back out.
No.
Like, all the way down to like DK Metcalf in the second half. Like, yep, everything, and then got knocked right back out because of that last interception with what the hell was going on at the end of the game. But we're not talking about that, Chris Meaney.
Yeah, that's
you
a heartbreaking
still-
loss, though.
Still near control. Went out,
fantasy.
you get the division. And now it's the number 1 seed was the question. But
Should we talk about who's not hurt? That might be a shorter list.
good night, everybody.
Have a good one. We'll see you next week.
I want to talk about one thing real quick because about the playoffs and the seeding and stuff like that. So I put this poll out because I'm interested. Our home league for the past couple of years has done once you get to the playoffs, there are no matchups. I know people like matchups and a lot of fun of it, but we get to the playoffs and we do top 2 scores advance, and then obviously the championship game because too many times you get to the playoffs, and it even happened in my home league this year. The one side of the bracket was 140 to 130. The other side was 105 to 90. How annoying is that if you're sitting there scoring the 130, watching the other side of the bracket? So that's why we've done it. And I put out the poll. I was very interested to see. Like, I've said that for a few years that I recommend doing that. Like, I know it's fun to have matchups, but once you get to the playoffs, that would really suck. I would be pissed off if I got knocked out with, the second highest score and watched the other two teams. But anyway, so just curious what you guys do. I had three options here. The bracket, just as it is. So the site sets it. You advance whichever side of the bracket it doesn't matter. Because the next option is the bracket starts, but then you reseed. So if the 6th seed upsets, they face the number 1. The first option is that the 6th seed just plays on the side they are, which is usually the number 2 seed because 3 and 6, everybody. So anyway, that's it. And then, of course, no matchups, top scores. What do you guys do? What do you do, Meaney? Do you do that? Do you even let – there's some people out there that even let the top seeds who have buys choose their opponent.
Wow. I think that's cool and dangerous. It's like I wouldn't want to choose. I mean, I guess I would. I'd like to look at some of the matchups, but that could backfire. Most of mine are reseeds. They just reseed, and the other ones are just kind of stay true to whatever the bracket is. Yeah, I like the reseeding. If I could pick,
you don't like the just scores?
No,
I love the just scores.
I think it's okay. I mean, I think it's fine. I don't really have a say.
Yeah, I like the reseeding.
Would you make no playoffs?
I did, but nothing has changed for me.
If we went by just scores, I actually would still be in the playoffs in a couple of leagues that I'm in.
See?
Which would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I haven't played that way. And majority of my leagues are pretty traditional. They're just the classic divisions, and then just sorry about you. So I think scores.
Okay, if you could choose, would you prefer the reseeding?
I think I would like the scores.
Okay, so scores.
In my home league, I did go up against somebody where we just had the worst weeks possible. It was like 90 to 87.
Both of you should have been out.
Yeah, and the other two guys were like in the 130s. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it that way, but I don't like that. Ugh.
Yeah, that's because you're wrong. You're always wrong.
No, man. Like, that's changing the game, though, I think. Like, it's always just been you playing who you're playing. Like, if you're the 6, you're playing the 2, or you're playing the 3.
Yeah, but why should the randomizer, like, that's the random.
It's just the way it works out and that's what happens in real life sports. Like, you can't just.
But this isn't real life sports.
Yeah, so pretty much.
How it always been. Like, we didn't play half point and full point PPR. We were acting like we don't change the game. Ban kickers, 3 wide receivers, and a flex spot. Like we don't play these ways. This is the way we make it better. By the way, Anthony Cirillo, if you have a question, we'll 100% answer it. If you're going to donate $25, I don't care how much we helped you. Congratulations, and we appreciate that 100%.
Oh, thank you, Anthony.
Wow, now I'm brain farting. I'll tweet it out. Like, everybody always asks, like, where do I donate? I donate to 2 things. I usually donate to CHKD. That's for Children's Hospital King's Daughters, and then the dog rescue one, which I can't. That's the one I'm spacing on that I can't think of. That's where, like, I would donate if you have winnings or if you want to send us anything else. But we definitely appreciate it. So if you have a question, go ahead and get that in, because we got to help everybody else. Congratulations to Mr. Nice Guy. Thank you for Brett. Brett has a question. Kyler Browning this week. Oh, this is an interesting one. Are you going to I'm going to go Meaney first. You still going to keep rolling out Browning over Kyler this week? Meaney, it's a different matchup this week, so things change.
Yeah.
Where'd you go? You know what?
I don't have Browning as high as I did last week.
But do you have him over Kyler? Is the question.
I don't. I have Kyler ahead of him. I am worried about the Bears. I also am worried that Arizona may just do something where they take Kyler out of the game at some point. Like, I don't know. I just have this
got
weird
hurt again
feeling.
last week.
Got hurt again last week. What's the point? If he is 2 things. If he's part of the future, what are you doing? And if you're thinking about trading him in the offseason, also, what are you doing? Because if he suffers some sort of injury where he's coming off the significant one, maybe I'm overthinking this too much, but that would ruin the future of what they want to do. Like, they're right in the conversation of having that second pick, drafting a quarterback. So it's a bit risky, man. Maybe it's Browning's season. Where do you got him? You got him a little bit higher than
in the
me.
conversation. That second pick, effing Giants. Anyway, Lauren, would you go Browning or Kyler Murray this week?
My head says I should go with Kyler Murray, but my heart is saying no. So I'm going to go with Jake Browning. I really like this divisional matchup between the Bengals and the Steelers. The Steelers have some turmoil going on right now. There's some not good things going on in the locker room. I think that this is very exploitable. And I think that the Bengals want to prove like, hey, we're a complete team, regardless of Joe Burrow being our starting quarterback or not. We've got Browning. Let's go. So I'm about the Bengals. I think I would roll out Jake Browning. And I also think he has a pretty safe floor too. So I'm okay with this.
Thinks that Jamar is not there, but
I understand that, but there's been other quieter pieces that have stepped up. Tanner Hudson, I believe, has really made his mark with Jake. T. Higgins stepped up pretty well. Like we talked about this on the Saturday show. I was excited to see him do well because I was a T. Higgins believer. Tyler Boyd has been involved. So this is just a more complete offensive team to me than the Cardinals are. So I'm going to go with Jake Browning and these weapons he has around him.
Well, then let's get right to the injuries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can just keep going. I think there's about like 20 names listed up here.
Infinity
and beyond when it comes down to it. And you mentioned Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, multiple weeks. Wouldn't be surprised if they just rest him into the playoffs at this point, assuming they're in. And maybe the desperation week 18, but if they're in. Or if they're out, then they're just done anyway. Like, I just don't know that we're going to see Jamar Chase, at least for these 2 weeks, which is what matters to us. It matters that you're playing this week and then hopefully in your championship game next week. And with no Jamar Chase, you just mentioned Lauren, T. Higgins had a big game. You start in T. Higgins. We don't need to have that conversation. The question after that.
But we did on Saturday, and I was all about that T. Higgins life. Yeah.
T.
Higgins.
The next 40 minutes, everybody, just celebrating Stepmom Lauren being excited about T. Higgins.
I'm in. Yeah, let's start now.
So what comes up after T. Higgins is what we've seen before, with T. Higgins out earlier this year, and this was different. So this ended up being Trenton Irwin as the higher ceiling, getting those plays, and Tyler Boyd kind of stayed Tyler Boyd. I don't believe this is the same scenario all over again because we do have Jake Browning as high completion, and we do have Jake Browning throwing 2 yards at a time, which is why he's a high completionist. The interesting thing also after about that is last week, and again, this kind of goes into the A.T. Perry stepping in for Michael Thomas that 1 week, is it doesn't always mean things when stuff happens in games. That's not necessarily always the plan the next week, whether it comes to running backs, wide receivers, whatever it might be, because you're adjusting in game. You're not adjusting a full week with what you might plan. So, point being, Iosivas was ahead of Irwin in that game and routes and snaps once Chase left. Now, again, that doesn't necessarily mean that Trenton Irwin's not the third this week. But for me, Meaney, it doesn't matter because of Jake Browning's at quarterback now and not Joe Burrow, which means I like Tyler Boyd as a top 40 play, and I'm not even messing around with Irwin or Andre.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And when we were talking about Browning, we were seeing some catches. You mentioned like some check down, some short yardage stuff, also from like Brown and Mixon. And I think that benefits Tyler Boyd. So I do believe you can't really go game log chasing here if you need a wide receiver. I think he does make a lot of sense as a flex guy because the opportunity is going to be there for him. I would say like over any New England Patriot wide receiver. I don't know, Jerry Jeudy, like. Just, I think where you have him as a top 40 guy as a flex play, I think is very fair.
Lauren?
Agreed.
Okay. Then let's move on to, do you want to stick with wide receivers or go to running backs, Meaney?
I want to stick with wide receivers.
Sticking with wide receivers because it's Christmas and you get what you want.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, man. What a year.
Didn't reverse it on you.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive. 'Tis the season for giving.
'Tis the season. Is Chris Olave as simple, in your opinion? This kind of ties in. So everybody, if you didn't listen to Sirius XM on Saturday, we had a new little segment there where Lauren tagged the second part of it as Keep It Simple Stupid. So it's Kiss. And originally it was Bench or Kiss. I changed it to Can or Kiss because it kind of like it's not alliteration, but it is a little bit. So can or kiss. You're just trying to smooch or I forget what the other one is. I was just seeing what else we could come up with, but there's not a lot to work with here.
I'd like the addition of kiss. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. So anyway, this is going to come down to, we're going to talk about during the show. It's basically, we talk every year. It's like, don't bench your studs. Don't bench the guys who got you here. Don't overthink it. But we did have a conversation about players that you might be able to bench for warranted reasons. One of them, we were looking back, was Austin Eckler, and others actually ended up, some of them ended up being worthy of benching and did end up and should have been on benches. But similar to that, the Olave conversation, Lauren, you came up with Kiss. If Olave plays, is it as simple as you just play him, or is he possibly in a Canham situation. Send him to the bench.
I mean, it's going to depend on who's on your squad, but this is definitely worthy of a conversation. So when we talked about it on Saturday, it was as simple as KISS, keep it simple, silly, or keep it simple, stupid, or do we need to have a conversation? I think Olave is a necessary conversation that we need to have. I don't think it's as easy as, just put him on your bench. Don't worry about it. It's going to depend on who you have starting. And there's so many injuries right now that I think that there is opportunity for lesser known names to be finish higher than Olave. I don't like this matchup against the Rams. I think it has potential to be a shootout, which is great. It also has potential to be shut down, which I don't like either. So this is definitely a conversation I'd like to have, but I think it's going to depend on who else that you have available and what their matchups look like going into week 16.
What do you think, Meaney?
I'm in. If I had Olave, I would play him. I know that there's a lot of risk there, and I agree with a lot of points that you just made, Lauren. I think that this certainly does have the potential to be a shootout. The Rams are cooking on offense, man. They are just feeling it right now. And Derek Carr had a good game over the week, but he's spreading around to average players. And Chris Olave's been the number one guy. He's been among the leaders in ADOT, air yard percentage. He's been fine when he's played. The volume has always been there. If there's been some floor games, but at least the targets have been there. It's not like, hey, what happened to Chris Olave? Why are you only getting 2 or 3 targets? He has been Derek Carr's go-to guy all year long. So I have him at wide receiver 16. I would play him over Garrett Wilson. I'd play him over Devontae Smith, Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, Hopkins, some of these names. So I've basically had him as a high end too all year long. And it's kind of where I have him. When we mentioned Higgins, I'd play Higgins over him. I think there was another wide receiver, Rashee Rice is popping off. That's a guy, if you had some sort of decision between Rice.
I have Rashee Rice at 12.
Yeah, Rice is just a clear-cut stud at the moment. The last 5 or 6 games have been unbelievable for him. So if you had Rice on your bench, maybe you've been playing him lately. Last week you put in Rice over Olave. Maybe just continue to do that. You'd put in Rice over Olave. That's as far as I'd go, I think.
From the column at The Athletic, over the last 4 weeks, Rashee Rice is wide receiver 5 with 16.4 fantasy points per game, 27.9 team target percentage. Guess what? Travis Kelce's tight end 7 at 9.7 and only 21% of the team targets. Travis Kelce has a Rashee Rice problem.
He does, and I think that's good for Kansas City, though, because Travis Kelce doesn't look 100%. He's not getting the same sort of separation. Teams are taking him away. Rice has more yards combined than all the other fun tools and players that ever, Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore and MVS. Rice has just dominated all the snaps. It's really nice to see somebody step up inside that offense because.
And if you didn't notice while watching the games on Sunday, I think Taylor Swift is a fan of ducks too. If you read her lips, because she saw a few when Kelce didn't come down with that touchdown in the end zone. All right, so let's have another. This is good. It's interesting that these injury conversations are flowing into kind of the can or kiss situation. But I'll let you go first on this one, Meaney. Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's banged up. We said on this time last week. Does Keenan Allen even play the rest of the season? Why? If he's out there, is he a must put him in your lineup, or do we consider putting him to the bench? This is one to have a conversation about?
It is. I got him in the 20s. Again, this is are we game log chasing? If we are, it's just an automatic put him in.
Higher or lower than I do? I am at 26.
Okay, I'm a touch higher. I think I'm at 23.
Wow.
Why do you love Keenan Allen?
I wonder if he's gonna play. Oh man, it's just not great. You got to play Buffalo. Easton Stick was okay. Can we say that?
Yeah, it was.
We all agree. He was pretty solid, considering his defense was atrocious and he was down 60 some odd points. He played a pretty good football game. He was very accurate. We may have to have some sort of list game. He's a low end wide receiver 2 for me. I
mean, we could have a different conversation too, because we need a flow chart for this one. And Lauren and I do a lot of flow charts on Mondays usually, but it comes down to Keenan Allen. I have at 26. I still have Josh Palmer at 34, even with Keenan Allen. Josh Palmer would basically replace him at 26, in my opinion, only because there's a few names in front of him that we can talk about later. But that really comes down to whether or not Quentin Johnston is a worthy play. I have Quentin Johnston as a 3-4 if there's no Allen, and then I'm not even touching Quentin Johnston if Allen is out there. and this is all a giant, big old mess. Lauren, in full agreement, or another point or difference, or just jump in?
No, I can't disagree. I fully am on board with this. This is definitely a who else do you got situation you're gonna have to make.
I'm looking at your rankings, and I can't really make a case for him to leapfrog anyone. Like maybe Nico Collins.
No, hold on. No, we're just talking about Nico Collins. I'm trying to.
I mean, there's gonna be no Stroud again, and it's Cleveland. The volume's gonna be there. Case Keenum wasn't that great in that game. I don't know. I just said maybe. I'd probably play Keenan over Nico Collins.
I was just bored with my. No, I got the lean going. That's what I was going for here. I got the Christmas hat lean. Yeah,
He's leaning Nico over.
No, that's where it's going. So here's the stat. You ready? I'm going to pull it back up. I'm going to over on The Athletic. We can get all this great information that I have. So I was going deep diving into cover one, safety deep, one safety deep. The Browns run the most in the league. Interesting, right? Big time interest. Because why? How about this? Nico Collins, second in the league in yards per route run, only behind Tyreek Hill and busting cover one. Oh, by the way, Noah Brown's a 10th. Mm-hmm. So, Nico Collins is staying in front. Nico Collins, I kind of
maybe you should move him up.
Well,
because he's only at 25.
He has Case Keenum.
Exactly.
That's the problem. It was CJ Stroud. I put him easily inside the top 20.
Yeah, no questions asked. But we have to factor
right, which is why he's down this low. Why so low? This is why he's this low.
I mean, a lot of these wide receivers are dealing with backup quarterbacks, and they have been all year. That's why it's been very, very difficult.
How gross
all
is
we
that?
can assume is all we can talk about is what you mentioned, schemes and defenses and what kind of routes these players are running, and really just volume and opportunity. This is, I think, where the whole keep it simple, stupid came into play.
Well, that's why we're having this conversation, because people are curious. Now the hoodie hat's messing me up. Lauren, then here's another one. Michael Pittman, because we have a long layoff, concussion, but interesting situation, suspended for the entire year. On the other side, I thought, as harsh as that hit was, I thought suspension for the entire year was also harsh. But they apparently said they also said they involved his history with Kazee, or Kazee, however you say his last name. But anyway, point being, if Michael Pittman does play, it's a concussion, so this is different. This is definitely KISS, right? Michael Pittman plays top 15, no question about it. Why are we even talking about it?
I believe so, yes. This is definitely a keep it simple, silly.
Okay, stupid. Christmas, say it.
No.
For my Christmas present, say keep it simple, stupid before the end of the show.
Oh, well, I said it at the beginning of the show on.
No, I want you to
actually
say it in use.
I don't want to call people stupid, so it's
in use. I want you to Grinch it up one time before the end of the show.
Oh my God, fine. Keep it simple, stupid. Jeez.
There we go. Yeah.
Turning me into a bad person. I'm gonna be on Santa's naughty list.
We could always do kiss or kiss. There, Rory. Keep it silly, stupid, or keep it simple, stupid. Or keep it simple, Santa. There we go. Look at this. Keep it simple, Santa. I like this. All right, where are we going? Okay, Lauren, sticking with you.
Yes.
And then come back. I already brought up Nico Collins because I brought up Nico Collins' injury situation. So are we sticking with him in the fact of if he practices this week? To go back to that, let's say he's limited on Thursday or Friday. Would you believe my feeling that he's still top 30 and if he's out there, he's going to play, especially because it's Case Keenum at quarterback, which makes me say if you're going to roll him out there with Case at quarterback, he's probably okay, because why are you going to risk this whole thing and potential futures and all that type of stuff? Or do you think there's a conversation to be had that this is riskier than it even was before, including the matchup that we already brought up?
Okay, who are we talking about right now? Michael Pittman?
Nico Collins. We're going back to Nico Collins.
I'm like, what? I think it is. I think that Case Keenum limits Nico Collins' ceiling. However, I do believe that if he's a go on game day, I think that it is a situation of keep it simple, stupid, because of the potential he has for pretty safe floor. So I'm gonna stick with. I think that Nico Collins needs to be firmly in the KISS situation if he's a full go and ready to play.
Okay, Meaney. Moving to the next one for you, the Packers. And by the way, a lot of times I'll chime in for everybody that's like just maybe now tuning in because it's playoffs. I chime in a decent amount when there's like something strong, but a lot of the stuff cover on the site over the Athletic with the rankings and all these blurbs and everything like that. So that's why we were like, why are you asking so many questions? Well, this is why, especially on a full show. Meaning, Christian Watson hurt. Does he ever play again? Jaden Reed.
I mean, he may play.
Jaden Reed turned out not to be an ankle, it's actually toe, whatever it is. It's foot. So Christian Watson comes back. I'm just going to go point by point. Otherwise, the flow chart's going to be enormous. So point by point. Christian Watson is active. Do you play him?
No. Absolutely not.
Not at all.
Can't risk it. Can't trust him. Seen him fall too many times mid-game. Can't do it. Not worth it.
Not risking it for the Christmas biscuit?
No chance. And I like him, rooting for him, but you just can't take that risk. You can't.
Okay. Risk it for the Blitzen biscuit. Well, I just got tongue-tied on that.
We're falling down a hole here.
5 times fast.
They can't. Try it. Try it twice.
I can't.
Okay.
Risk it for the Blitzen biscuit. Risk it for the Blitzen biscuit.
You got 2, but now you stopped.
Oh, I thought you said 2 times. Sorry.
I did. I was surprised you got 2. Anyway.
Yeah.
Meanie.
Yeah.
Part number 2. Jaden Reed is active. Do you play him?
Yeah, I play Jaden Reed.
Top 30?
There hasn't been... Top 30.
Top 20?
I think this...
Would you play him or Nico Collins?
I would play Nico Collins.
Really?
Yeah.
With no Christian Watson and Jaden Reed, I could see the argument to play Jaden Reed, especially the carries in the backfield, the uses that he's getting. He's been the guy.
But, I mean, he hasn't been fantastic. Like, the volume hasn't been significant.
No, but this is... I brought up the one specific player who has the possible injury and then the matchup that some people are concerned about with the quarterback that people are concerned about, even though I just brought out the cover 1 situation. Yeah. All that being said, I just think there's a conversation to be had. That's the range you consider Reed in.
Yeah, I think where you have him is a low-end wide receiver 3. I suppose if Watson is rolled out, maybe you bump him up a touch. Carolina's been okay against wide receivers. It's been a decent defense. And I'm not really drinking all this Packers Kool-Aid that everybody else is. Like, they beat Kansas City and everybody freaked out. Oh, they're 7-point favorites against the Giants. They lost. They got crushed by the Bucks. Like, this is just an okay team. It's a very inexperienced quarterback and offense. He's just a wide receiver 3. You're going to get some end-around carries, 7-6 targets. He's never a 10 to 12 target guy. It's just not how he's been used this year. So he's just a wide receiver 3. He's okay. He's fine.
All right. Well, so this is also why you listen and watch the video if you can, because also, so Lauren thumbs down the first one and thumbs up the second. She's in agreement so far. So I don't even need to go to you, Lauren, as we go to the last option. So no Watson, no Reed, Chris Meaney. We know you're starting Romeo Doubs as a wide receiver 3 or 4 with a floor, but the person that I brought up a couple weeks ago, who I think has NFL number 1 ability, but is not there yet, but in this scenario, who would leapfrog Romeo Doubs in my ranks? Would you go Dontayvion Wicks?
Yeah, I'm interested. I feel like it's a risky play. It's like more of a, hey, I'm going to go to the betting market and sprinkle some props on him. His catch prop's been 2.5 every single week. But if all of those guys are out, like 2 of the 3, then he does become worthy of a flex play in a PPR format.
I'll give you a toss-up. You ready? How about Brandon Cooks against Miami or Dontayvion Wicks with no Watson, no Reed?
I still think I would take Cooks and what could be a potential shootout on a lot of offensive points. I want to go with the ceiling. Like, it's the same reason I like Jordan Addison. I'm not trying to chase last week, but against Detroit, I'm trying to get some players in some high total games. And I don't think that there's going to be a lot happening in that Green Bay and Carolina game. So I would lean with Brandon Cooks. I think it's maybe even Wicks would be safer in terms of volume, PPR, but you can get that one shot from Dak to Cooks, which could just
mom spaghetti.
Ceiling. Yeah.
So real quick before I go to Lauren, then nobody got the mom spaghettis thing when you said one shot. Anyway,
I said yeah. I'm a big M guy.
Okay, you're a big M&M guy. Peanut or regular?
Oh, peanut. Yeah. Not hands down. Peanut.
I like both of you are wrong. Both of you are wrong. It's peanut butter. So when you brought up Jordan Addison, I threw this in there because this is another one I keep mentioning this entire season. Jordan Addison with Justin Jefferson, 10.8 fantasy points per game, 14.9 yards per reception, 1.8 yards per out run, and 16 touchdown to target percentage. Gets a lot of touchdowns. On the flip side, Without Justin Jefferson, 6.6 points per game, 12.3 yards per reception, 1.5 yards per route run, and a low 6.7 touchdown to target percentage. If Justin Jefferson's out there, you play Jordan Addison. It's that simple. But anyway, Lauren, to come to you on this, I'll give you first, do you agree Cooks over Wicks with no Watson and no Reed? Yes or no?
Yes. I think your upside is going to be with Brandon Cooks. So, yes, I would play Brandon Cooks.
Okay. And then the second toss-up I'm going to give you, Mr. Nice Guy, get out of my brain, because I was about to go to the disappointing Tyler Lockett and say Tyler Lockett or Dontayvion Wicks with no Watson or no Reed.
Yeah. All right. Let's be spicy here. That's not. I can't do it. Keep it simple, stupid. I'm playing Tyler Lockett. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
Is Tyler Lockett a keep it simple, stupid, or is he like a can situation? Because
in this particular situation between Wicks and Lockett, I believe this is a keep it simple, stupid, in my opinion. However, Lockett outside of this situation is not a kiss situation. This is a definite combo that needs to be had.
What are you about?
Yeah,
you
really
mean
seen JSN. We've really seen JSN kind of pass him.
Hold on, I'm trying to put my earpiece back in because you guys are sliding on my ear a little bit. I think Lockett's just straight bench option, has been for weeks.
I know, and I should do that. I really should do that.
2 weeks ago, he was fine. He did lead. It was
fine?
Locke under center. Well, he led everybody in receptions.
His best game, his third best game of the season, he was wide receiver 25. There you go. There's a big hint. How many times has he finished higher than wide receiver 25, Meaney?
Yeah, no, I don't know, once. He hasn't been. He hasn't three times. Yeah, he has not been good. The writing is on the wall.
How many times did he finish outside the top 40? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. How many times did he finish outside the top 70? 4 times? Like this is. I'm not starting Lockett.
I wouldn't either. I mean, the question is Wicks versus Lockett. I do agree.
And I'll start Wicks. 100%.
I don't hate it. I don't
not
hate
even
it.
thought.
If all the Packers wide receivers are
you know why? Here, for everybody out there, you don't have to make this decision because you didn't make your playoffs if you were starting Tyler Lockett this entire time. Congratulations to you. There you go. That's why.
You never know, but yeah.
No, Zay Jones is out, so let's talk about, well, most likely. Even we heard from Doug Peterson, he said it did not look good. So, no Zay Jones. I was surprised, to see this. So I talked Parker Washington in the last 2 waiver columns. It was like, I think he brings in the dimension that Christian Kirk brings in. Brought that up. Talked about it in the rankings column last week as a deep flyer. 3 for 6. 3 receptions, 6 yards. Trevor Lawrence throws him to lower A than Jake Browning. And then this week with no Zay Jones, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't really want to chase Agnew, who was out there actually quite a bit, some big plays that we saw, or Parker Washington. It's just going to be the Evan Ingram, Calvin Ridley, and backfield show. And there was quite a few questions asking me about Parker Washington. I'm like, is it just because I wrote him? I'm not saying that, look at me. I'm saying, is it because I wrote him up for 2 weeks? And then people are like, well, why don't you like him anymore? I don't like him because he was 3 for 6. He needed 25 receptions just to get 50 yards. Meanie, do you start Parker Washington or Agnew without Zay Jones? Or are you like me? Just why are we even talking about this?
Kind of why are we even talking? But I guess it's worthy of a conversation because Zay Jones was looking pretty decent in that game. He was getting some targets. Yeah. He was en route to 10, 12 fantasy points before he left with that knee injury. I suppose in the deepest of deepest leagues, I may lean with the big playability of Agnew, but it is really risky at this moment. Yeah, I mean, I would try to find some other options if you could.
So, Lauren, you get a double tap here.
I don't know. Rashid
Oh, okay.
I'm going to like some Call of Duty double tap because I feel like the first one is about as kissy as you can get. Tyreek plays, you play him, right?
Correct. Absolutely.
We're not even doing if he's wide receiver 4 or wide receiver 10 in somebody's ranks. Who the bleeping, ducking hell cares? You're starting Tyreek Hill. Simple. Word. Thank you.
Yes.
So, after that, and I'm coming to you because Chris Meaney can't let this guy go in his heart. Actually, he did for a while ago. I won't lie. He finally let go. He finally moved on like I did with Cam Akers. But if Hollywood Brown is healthy, first of all, congratulations. You also didn't make your playoffs. But second, is there any world where, let's say, because we have Saturday games again, let's say you're down big come Sunday. I'm laying out the only scenario that I could possibly think of, and this is why I'm going down this road. You're down big. And you have, let's say, Jackson Smith and Jigba or Hollywood Brown? Would you go Hollywood Brown or
JSN.
still Rashid
JSN.
Shaheed? Well, I guess he's kind of the same conversation in Marquise Brown at this point. I'm trying to find a safer option here. Josh Downs.
I play Wicks.
Josh
I'll
Downs.
play Wicks over Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Here's a good one. You ready for this one?
Oh God.
So, of all top 40 wide receivers, he is one of 4 wide receivers that has 2 games of 1.6 points or fewer. You ready for this?
Okay.
You know the person yet?
No.
He has 4 fat zeros. No other wide.
Gabe Davis.
Yep.
Oh, come on.
No other
Meaney.
wide receiver inside the top 40 even has a second
Yeah, I
game
did. Yeah,
with
as
a
soon
zero.
as he said that, it's Gabe Davis.
Top 40. But that's how insane this is. He's a top 40 wide receiver. No wide receiver in the top 40 has 2 games of zeros. He has 4. And then another 2 games with 1.6 or less. Nobody even comes close to sniffing this, and he's in the top 40. I bring that up to say, would you go Gabe Davis or Hollywood Brown if you needed the home run?
Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean.
There's no home run in the Arizona Cardinals offense. We talked about this on Sirius. Hollywood was an easy sit. Somebody asked me about Gabe Davis, should they play him? And I said, if you can take the 0, play him. And then the comment that I had on Monday, I took the 0 and I hated it. And it's managed. Luckily, that owner managed.
Here, I got
to
one for
buy
you.
Another week. It is the Chargers, and there's a higher ceiling of possible.
We're going to do fun, off-season stuff and all that type of stuff. Who's the bigger disappointment, Gabe Davis or Jahan Dotson?
Jahan Dotson.
I would probably say Jahan Dotson, yeah, because there's really been no boom games.
We
with Jahan
knew
Dotson.
this about Gabe Davis, though. That's why this is not surprising.
Yeah.
He is the epitome of a boom or bust player, so don't be surprised when this happens. So I'm not disappointed that we're getting exactly what we predicted him to be.
Right.
I am disappointed that Jahan Dotson did not live up to the expectations that we had set for him on a week-to-week basis.
Also, I just want to say one more thing is that this offense in Buffalo has changed. They are running the football now since Joe Brady has taken over, and I respect their offense a hell of a lot more. This is not a shot on Josh Allen, but he can't be sitting back and chucking the ball 45 times. They were too one-dimensional. They have these methodical drives now, and Gabe Davis hasn't done Josh Allen really many favors. He's dropped the ball a ton of times. He's got no hands, so I think he's just getting completely phased out of the option.
I'm still going to play him over Hollywood Brown.
Oh, for sure.
Well,
because
they're also
maybe there's a deep shot.
They're also throwing
all
to
he
James
needs is
Cook.
one, and we're good.
Yeah,
James Cook's team target percentage is essentially doubled since they fired Dorsey.
Yes.
Yep. They're using
I told you I had to change my tune on him. I admit
Everybody
it.
did.
I was
said
not
on the
board.
preseason show and laughed at Pat Mayo when he wanted to put him inside the RB1 conversation. No,
because we knew the Bills weren't going to do that. But now that they've
Exactly.
made these changes, they were just content with going, okay, here's Latavius Murray inside the 10. No, it's again too one-dimensional.
You know what's a
just
sad and good thing is it's kind of a double-edged sword here, because on the good side of it, it's narrowed the tree of what we care about. It is James Cook, Stephon Diggs, the end. But on the problem side of it, it is now Gabe Davis. All their wide receivers are irrelevant, and with Knox back, it's also killed Kincaid. It's essentially become a 2-man team in fantasy, which is what we like. We like that for that narrow tree and be able to predict, but it's also killed players that we actually were using and caring about. And Mr. Nice Guy, I've said James Cook for Matt Forte for the last 2 years. Don't steal that from me. That's not yours. That's mine. Stop. So
I'm also playing against Josh Allen, and I'm extremely nervous that he's going to have 7 touchdowns.
Who?
Josh Allen.
James Cook?
Against the Chargers.
Oh, Josh Allen. Oh, okay. I can see that. Of course, because the Chargers watch the Chargers win this game.
You know what?
It's
You sometimes see that spark with the coaching change, right? Guys are going to be. Remember when the Raiders made that? Remember when they fired Josh McDaniels? They were literally playing games in the locker room.
They still are.
Smiles on their face. They were loving.
They were trying to put up 70.
They were. I remember Devontae Adams on the sideline of an NBA game, and the ref was talking about him. He's like, "Man, I really like that you guys made that coaching change." He's like, "Oh yeah, we're all look out now. We're going to be rolling."
Here, I got one for you.
Pretty good. Chargers.
If this was a pure bare knuckles UFC, do whatever the hell you want, but you have to submit. Well, you could give up the fight. You could get submit. You have to give up to lose. There's no knockouts. You get knocked out, we're waiting for you to get back up, because at some point it's basically WWE. We'll call it. It's the I give up match. If it was Dan Campbell versus Antonio Pierce, who would give up first?
Oh,
I don't know.
No, this
I'd
would be
say-
an infinity war. Like this would be a battle
Yeah.
that never stops.
The Avengers?
Like, I don't think
Yeah.
it would just never. No one would. Neither of them would give up, and we would be talking about.
One of them would
this.
have to die. Is what you're telling me?
Someone would die
couldn't
of like
choose.
starvation or dehydration because they're
Yeah.
like, literally fighting for weeks. No, that's
And
yeah.
and Pierce and after the heading into the third quarter, he was like pedal to the metal. That's it. And then I saw a stat like halfway through that game that he coached a high school team and they scored like 70+ points. They just won like 70-0 or something. They just did not care. It's like all the points, go ahead. So it would go on forever, fight to death.
Oh, I
That's
agree.
what it's like.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, if this was WWE and this was like a ladders, tables, and chairs match, like a full, you could use whatever the hell you want, and it was Arthur Smith versus one of them, he'd be in there and he'd still be not using any of those items while getting hit with like bats and chairs and stuff like that. Arthur Smith
yeah.
would be like, "No, I'm still going to use my glove punches." Haha. Congratulations to everybody who's sad this week because of Bijan Robinson or potentially any options like that.
Let me
Drake
distract
London-
you with my mustache while I do nothing about it. Yeah.
that too.
What happens with Bijan? Do they just
That's what I was about to say.
I'm
Bijan, you're putting
not-
back in your lineup, are you not? We've done this
I have him
before.
I have him in one league and the
I'm
only
at 15. We've done this before, and he came back in the next game. He got his workload.
Yeah, I mean he should, but this is Arthur Smith, and this has been a very frustrating offense to watch this season. He's going back to Heineke. He's blaming Ritter. It's the play calling is really bad. I say, yeah, I mean, at this point in the semifinals, you have him. You know what his ceiling looks like. I think RB15 is fair. I have Javonte Williams in a spot where it's like I can't really play him against New England, but I feel like he may have more touches, but I'm going to take Bijan Robinson the upside. But my goodness, Arthur Smith needs to go. I would assume he's going to be fired in the offseason when this Falcons team misses the playoffs because of the easiest schedule.
If Arthur Blank is telling the truth and that wins don't matter, and he hasn't watched this team all year long,
he's also clueless.
Please talk about a mustache. By the way, you brought up Bijan Robinson, Lauren. One spot in front of him, and I'm pretty high on versus consensus. But it came down to the fact of the usage last week was the first time when you go back to since I think it was like week 4 or 5, and this was before Charbonnet was even a thing. That was actually the highest running back touch percentage of the
Give
year.
me my flowers.
For Kenneth Walker. I know, yeah, look, but Kenneth Walker doesn't
Also
get
Eagles.
your Eagles. He's got a different matchup this week. He's got the Titans. Would you go Kenneth Walker or Bijan Robinson, Lauren? Because I have Kenneth Walker one spot in front of Bijan.
That is a good one. I actually would go Ken Walker over Bijan Robinson. As
Me too.
just ridiculous as that sounds, we have to go with what's on paper, and that would be Ken Walker. He's getting the volume. He's played well too. He kind of seems like a different running back. Maybe that's just because they played the Eagles and they make every running back look good. But I'm going to go Ken Walker.
It's amazing how quickly things have turned, right? With the Eagles defense.
Oh,
The first
I
10
mean,
weeks, it was
snap your fingers, blink your eyes, watch out. Who am I watching right now? Like it has been.
they can't
atrocious.
tackle. They can't
No.
tackle. Former players in Philadelphia are calling out the secondary, and the thing is their linebackers are too small. And anyways, Ken
Well,
Walker.
I pulled that up because you put that in my brain on Saturday meeting, and I actually looked at it. And so the run stuff percentage since week 7, they're third worst. When before that they were like top 5.
even without looking at the numbers and just watching it, like I saw at the start of the season, great, this is a good stuff defense, run defense. The secondary still has some issues, but over the past few weeks, it has been, and even if you're just looking at yards per carry, like some of those numbers are skewed because I've seen big runs from teams like Cooks and Pollard, and Saquon this week should be able to have a really solid game running the football against them. This is an issue that people are now just seeing. I saw Mina Kimes tweet the success rate of Kenneth Walker was the highest of his career in that game, over 52%. And what Lauren said, I think he's just safer than Bijan at this point. We know that Pete Carroll wants to run the football. He came back off the injury and it was a timeshare, but that was his backfield. And they did a good job blocking. How about Drew Lock running up the field and blocking too? Like, so they did a really good job in that game.
Kudos to
That's what I
him.
was
But,
gonna
like, can we stop?
I was going to represent my Missouri or my
just,
boy Drew.
It's like Emery said on Twitter. Okay, like, can we stop like every single one-off game being either now the quarterback's the worst in the history of the world or he's the best?
And now he's the
forever?
best.
Legitimately, like Lawrence Tynes. This is also why I ban kickers. Why do you have an opinion? You have the stupidest opinions about the Giants I've ever seen in my life. Like Drew Lock. Like go sign the Drew Lock at the backup Daniel Jones next year. Shut the hell up. Like stop. It's one
Nice
good
moment.
game for his career.
Yeah. Nice moment for him, but let's be honest, there was like 3 highlight reel catches on that drive, at least 2, one from DK, and a really nice off the fingertips of JSN. Credit to Drew Lock.
So would you go?
But,
Here's one: Saquon Barkley or Kenneth Walker?
I would go Saquon.
Lauren, you talked enough. I'm going to Lauren.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
a real.
I like how
tough
both of your
one.
hats have like the logos in the little thing on the side too. I just noticed that you got the
Yeah.
little. What the hell is that called? I can't think of
Little
what it's
Holly.
called. Holly. Thank you.
Yeah, Holly.
Yep.
Anyway,
That's a good
Real
one.
quick.
I'm gonna go
Just play
Saquon
Saquon.
Barkley,
The Eagles can't tackle.
okay. Yeah.
but that's a coin toss in my opinion. But I will go Saquon.
Oh, I love the
Barkley. I think
comments, the
upside
deep
is there
reference
for
to
him.
the Invincible. Yes, Invincible on Amazon. I'm saving the stupid second season because they dropped 5 or 6 or whatever it is, and like we're not back until the middle of 2024. Like what the hell? Anyway, let's talk some more about these running backs because now we have some if and buts and flow charts and candied nuts. I don't know. I was trying to rhyme. Let's. Alexander Madison might play, might not. Alexander Madison plays, meaning does he go back in front of Ty Chandler or is it Ty Chandler over Madison?
No, it's Ty Chandler over Madison. It's here. It's
Lauren?
happening.
We're here.
Madison's-
We made it. We made it,
Finally.
everybody. Ty Chandler's season.
They didn't even need to trade for our boy Cam Akers. It could have just been rolling out Ty
boy.
Chandler this whole time.
This is in 2022. He's not our boy in 2023. It's 2022. Let's get. Come on.
Okay, you can roll.
Who do we
trade for
ruin
the
next
former
year?
boy.
Cam Akers, Jahan Dotson. We got to have one next year. We got to ruin. We got to
I'll
figure
be
this out.
careful with that.
I'm trying to think as like somebody who's like a good bounce back, and we'll have to do that another show. We'll do that in the off season. Who can we ruin in 2024? We'll be an entire show in the off season. Okay, Josh Jacobs, Lauren, doesn't return. We know Josh Jacobs plays. You just play him. What? Kind of. I brought this up on Mayo's show. It's like if Jacobs plays, I would have him top 20, probably even top 15. Wouldn't put him inside the top 10 like normal, but. What that's telling me is he has nothing to play for. He wants a new contract. Why would he get himself more hurt? So he wants to play. Second, why would he want to play unless he knew he could prove himself? Again, because of the contract. Third, why are the Raiders going to play him? Like, it's just all these, like, if he's out there to play is what I'm getting at. So I would play Jacobs. The question is, if there's no Jacobs, did Zamir White show you enough that he's an RB2? Because I have legitimate concerns that he might not be, because this could be one that gets out of hand quickly. And Brandon Bolden and Amir Abdullah were used in the passing game. This is a Chiefs matchup where they could get behind and have to throw more, which makes me concerned about Zamir White. I would have him as an RB3.
I don't know, man. I think he is a solid RB2 with some potential upside without Josh Jacobs. And don't forget how the Chiefs and the Raiders play each other. This is a very competitive matchup. The Chiefs are not the Chiefs that we are used to seeing. I think that this could be a surprising matchup where we have a competitive score. And I think that means a lot of opportunity for Zamir White, especially with no Josh Jacobs. So yeah, I'm actually kind of bullish on Zamir White if Josh Jacobs does not play.
Okay, then Meaney, let's say Jacobs and Pacheco are both back as Pacheco's expected back. Would you go Pacheco or would you go Josh Jacobs?
I would go with Pacheco. I'll just lean with a team that I think will win and score more points. But I do believe it will be a competitive game. The Raiders haven't rolled over. Like, they've been much more competitive since that coaching change that we talked about. And I would just go with Pacheco. And if you're the Chiefs, I don't know, like one more week. I know that he just had surgery a couple weeks ago. But if he's active, just like Jacobs, if both of these guys are active, they're RB1s. They're top 12 running backs.
If we
I agree
tag
with Lauren
team,
too. I think low end RB2 for Zamir.
If we tag team, to go back to the wrestling thing, if we tag team Pearson Campbell versus a bear and a rhino, who would win?
I'll give it to the coaches.
What if we threw in a
the rhino though?
shark?
Ooh.
Well, it's already dead because it's on land. It's flopping around.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like, what was it gonna like teleport around in like a water bubble? No. The
Dan
rhino
Campbell,
would
Antonio
perform,
Pierce versus a chimera
We're the coaches.
versus Cerberus. How about that one?
though. I
A
think
three-headed
Cerberus might
dog.
take him. He's got 3 heads, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
But are 3 heads better than 2 when it's Campbell and Pierce?
No.
This is getting so convoluted. I have no idea who's competing against who.
Campbell
now.
and Pierce versus Thor and Hulk. Who wins?
I'll
I'll take Campbell and Pierce.
Next
take
one.
Campbell and Pierce.
Back to running backs. Bijan Robinson is up in the air. Coming off the hamstring that ruins running backs as we know. If he plays, is that as simple as a keep it simple, stupid, he's healthy? They're both shaking your heads no. All right. So that's a whole different conversation. Check the ranks. We'll update them. You can ask us on Twitter. So the bigger conversation comes down to no Bijan Robinson again. Antonio Gibson's role didn't really change. Chris Rodriguez got a little bit more work. Would you start either? Meaning you made a stinky Grinch face.
Yeah, definitely don't want to start either of these guys. Even if there's no Bijan Robinson, I don't really care for Antonio Gibson. The one thing I'll say is he is top 10 among running backs and receiving yards. If you're in a full point PPR league, maybe he can catch another 5 passes. But this game against the Jets is an easy under for me. 38 points, I think the total is. I don't think we'll see a lot of 38. Offense.
Yeah,
I think
That's
so.
A little aggressive.
Jets haven't showed me a damn thing this year, and Washington is. They're not showing me a whole lot either. So
wow, we got a damn from Chris Meaney.
Yeah. Canadians mad.
Would you? Here's a toss-up for you guys, Lauren, and then I'll go back to you, Meaney. If Bijan Robinson is active, Bijan Robinson or Gus Edwards, and hope you get the touchdown.
Oh,
against the 49ers.
Oh God,
oh, man, it sucks about Keaton Mitchell.
I know. But I was bringing up the Ravens because we do have to talk about it.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go Gus Edwards.
Meanie?
I would agree. Let's hope that you can get that touchdown. If Keaton Mitchell's on the squad, I would say no chance. Gus Edwards that was the start of, I believe, what we were all expecting to see. Like Keaton Mitchell getting 15 plus touches in this Ravens offense.
And it didn't really happen until the second half.
It didn't. And one thing with him, I don't spend too much time because he's gone, but the one thing with him is he can take that on the outside, where when you have Gus Edwards, he can't take that ball on the outside and get that speed. It's just kind of like a north downhill runner, but he's scoring touchdowns, and he did again. So, yeah.
Okay, so
just keep playing him.
Last one of running backs. A.J. Dillon actually plays. Do you downgrade Aaron Jones, either one of you, because A.J. Dillon would be playing through a thumb injury? So I don't know how much work you would actually get. So either of you guys affecting Aaron Jones if A.J. Dillon is out there? Yes or no?
Not a whole lot. Maybe a couple spots lower. Maybe in the
your boy DeAndre Swift or Aaron Jones with A.J. Dillon.
I'm gonna go with Swift. They did run the ball a little bit more last week, which I thought that they would do. I don't know, man. Are they just protecting Swift for the playoffs? Like, this guy should get 20 carries a game, and there's really no excuse for it. So
Kenny Gainwell is so good.
And he won't.
Oh my goodness! Just run the ball. It's the Giants. Run the ball.
We love. Congratulations. He got a bye in the flex leagues. We love some Joey Wright, but Merry Christmas on the show, Joey, and also Happy Holidays to everybody else. But Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy Holidays. Was that NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? That was NSYNC, right?
I think so.
From the blessings from above, God gave you his love.
I think it is NSYNC. But
Merry
I'm not
Christmas.
sure.
Happy Holidays. This is why I never was in a boy band. Because I suck! And let's get out of here on a few. These are going to be rapid fire. As we left out, thank you, Joey Wright. It was NSYNC. Thank you. The better of the two. Anyway, Stroud is out. Levis, probably out. Gino, who knows? Lawrence, who knows? Your favorite quarterback, if you need one, Chris Meaney, is it Joe Flacco? Where are we going? Baker Mayfield? Baker Mayfield is my pick.
Ooh, yeah.
Man, Baker.
Yeah.
How about the top 5 passing leaders from this past week? Like Baker and Mullins and
Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco, and there was another random
Aiden
one
O'Connell?
in there as well. I think he just missed.
Just had
the
touchdowns.
The only guy that was in there that was Patrick Mahomes. Everybody else was a backup random quarterback. But Baker's been really good this year. We talked about Godwin, right? We did mention Chris Godwin if he was going to play. We liked the matchup. The volume has been there for him.
Oh, Jake Browning.
I like Godwin again this week. Oh, yeah, Jake Browning. So
Baker, Flacco, Browning, Mahomes, Mullins were the top 5 in yards.
Oh,
actually, the 5 to pass for
Week
300
1
plus.
of the fantasy playoffs. Those are our passing leaders.
It's been the year of the backup. Mason Rudolph is now under center, which I think that he's got the best ball of the bunch in Pittsburgh. So I'm not saying to start Pickens or Deontay.
Holy crap sticks. You ready for the top 8 quarterbacks from weeks 15?
Oh, I'm ready. I know.
Goff, Mayfield, O'Connell, Purdy, Hurts, Minshew, Carr, Browning. That was, and then Love and Stick and Mullins were 12, 13, 14. Flacco was way down at 15.
on Purdy not having a sprinkle on him for MVP. As much as we talked about him, I just remember all of our conversations on this show at Sirius about how he's going as quarterback 24, and now he is minus 200 to be the MVP favorite, and he leads every single category in football. A great test for him this week against the Ravens, but he's got to be one of the fantasy MVPs as well.
Fantasy MVPs, yes. Real life and fantasy MVP continues to be Mr. Christian McCaffrey. Why are we even having this debate?
Yeah,
but as we get out of here, we'll do a little round of can or kiss. Can means you can have the discussion and send them to your bench. Kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Or no, sorry, keep it simple, Santa, because it is the Christmas episode.
Oh, there we
Keep
go.
it simple, Santa, as mentioned in the chat. And if you have any follow-up questions, at Chris Meaney, at Stepmom Lauren, I'm at All In Kid, code All In, get you 20% off at FTN. All the comments are answered, unless you ask me, who would I start? Running back versus running back. Right after the rankings, you scrolled right past on The Athletic. Then I just skip your question. But if you have some context of like, I need more upside, or I do this, then I'll still answer. So can or kiss, Derrick Henry, Chris Meaney, of all letdowns. If you had Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and Bijan Robinson, your team looked like a squad and a half, and then you missed the playoff next round.
Yeah. Looking at your rankings for Derrick Henry, why can't I
argue? Because he's at 18.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
In front of him, Zeke, Etienne, Bijan, Walker, Pollard, Barkley, Pacheco, Taylor, if he plays, Mixon. Tell me, who would you start Henry over? Nobody?
No one. Maybe Zeke. But yeah, I would say Montgomery too. Like I'd play Montgomery over him, but I think it's fair where you got him. He's low. He hasn't been super efficient. You're hoping touchdowns. It is very good. Just again, hoping for a touchdown, a better offense that may score. That's
Lauren ducked out of this one, so I'll give you another one because I know she's thinking. So, can or kiss? Conversation to be had. Terry McLaurin against the Jets, Lauren.
Kiss.
Oof. Keep him in there, even against the Jets. Okay.
Against the Jets.
Meanie, Chris Godwin. And I bring this up to say that was Chris Godwin's best game of the year. It is Chris Godwin's best game in a long time if you want to take second best game earlier this season. Second touchdown. Congratulations. Is this a can or kiss situation? Like, are we going off of just last week, or are we going off the entire season? Because the entire season tells us you probably consider sending him in most leagues.
Yeah, but the volume again has been there. I really like him. I would play him over Deontay Johnson, Cortland Sutton.
Over Sutton?
New England,
touchdown
Belichick.
machine.
I could see them shutting him. There's just one guy to worry about in this Broncos offense, and it's just it's Cortland.
If it's
Sutton,
Geno, I don't agree, but if it's Drew Lock, I do agree.
Over who?
Because starting Chris Godwin over Cortland Sutton. There's a flow chart with that one.
Oh, the Sutton. Were you like brain farting at Christmas time here? What does Geno have to do with the Cortland Sutton? Russell Wilson.
Oh.
Wrong team.
No, I don't know.
Team.
Oh, wrong team. Yes, yeah, brain farted. I'm still thinking about Derrick Henry and how much I hate him.
She's
Let him
got
go.
in her eggnog.
I know. I did. I got my Russell Wilson connections confused.
Yeah, I'm going with the volume.
That's why I was like, I figured out where you went. You went Russell Wilson with the old team, then to Geno, who's actually the quarterback, and then
because I'm still on vintage Derrick Henry, and he's not Derrick Henry.
You got her shook on Henry.
I'm so confused now.
Tajay Spears next year.
Don't bring up his name. It's blasphemy.
Oh, that'll be the one we ruin next year. There you go. You just picked
that'll be the guy that everyone.
No
will
Derrick
pump
Henry. Tajay Spears, RB1, and then.
Yeah.
Timeshare loses the job to whoever they draft.
He does look really good though.
It's
going to be one of the guys that leap like Cook. I would assume is going to be a top 10 running back in drafts next year. I'd say Spears.
Yeah, but we gotta live in the RB 2-3 range to do this, or wide receiver 3-4 range. That's where we gotta live to be able to ruin somebody. All right, as we get out of here, Lauren, does he ruin you? James Conner, can or kiss?
Man, he burned me last week. I looked silly making him a sit.
You can have this conversation.
Okay. And then Meanie, before we get out of here, Devontae Adams, can or kiss? That was his first good game, really good game in a while. Actually, wasn't that his best game of the season? I think it was.
It could have been better considering they scored nearly 70 points.
I know.
A touchdown pass from Jacoby.
I remember that entire game. I was actually annoyed he got that touchdown late because I was like, you know what? I'm going to put him at like 22 because he just hasn't done anything and they don't need him to. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And then boom, gets off late in that game.
The only player that I would play over him that you have in your rankings is Nakua, just because of, I don't know, the better offense at the moment. But I would play Devontae Adams as a low-end wide receiver too. Just have to adjust. This is not that top 5 guy at the moment.
So real quick on Nakua as we get out of here, just so you brought it up, I put this in the column too. Since week 8, team target percentage is down to 23.7. Still a really nice number. 10.4 fantasy points per game. Heading into that week 8, 32.5 and 15.3. It's been a big downturn. And that is also, remember, that was Cooper Kupp active for 4 games at that point. So
yeah, it's just a whole lot of Nakua at the start. Kupp comes back. Kupp gets hurt a little bit more. Nakua, and now we've seen 2 or 3 vintage games in a row from Cooper Kupp. He looks healthy, and Demarcus Robinson scored again for the 3rd straight week. But I really like this. I think the Rams are dangerous. Like, they are alive to beat the Eagles or the Cowboys, whoever's the 2 seed, if there's the 7, or if they're the 6 and they play the Lions. Stafford against his old buddies. I would say that the Rams are a dangerous team at the moment. With
I
Kyren
heard from
Williams
somebody,
football. Oh my
if you
goodness.
really enjoy it and want to burn some money and just throw it straight into that fire behind Lauren, 500-1 Rams versus Bills Super Bowl. Just throwing that out there.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Ooh.
at Chris Meaney, at StopMom Lauren, if you enjoy hockey picks and all the greatness over at FTN, code ALLIN, follow Chris Meaney. Rangers are getting back on track. Yay! Hopefully you have a terrific Christmas and holidays, whatever it might be. You can follow, tweet us, help us, whatever, or help us help you help us get you to a win, championship, something, Christmas, Santa, I don't know, Grinch, things. I'm just pointing things out. I'm doing it to Fox again until he cuts me off because I think that's funny. Sweaters, ducking yes.